I love how customizable YNAB is when it comes to setting up and rearranging all of your accounts and categories. So this really allows for some unique ways that you can use YNAB to fit your own individual personal finance needs. I've gone through a lot of the basics of YNAB in the past tutorials that you can find on my YouTube channel. Now I want to share some bonus tips about how I use YNAB to help me simplify and organize my financial process. I have way more financial accounts than I probably should, so it's really essential for me that I really streamline and automate my financial process. So YNAB is one of the ways that I do this to keep everything as organized as possible. One significant way that I use YNAB to keep me organized is their ability to schedule upcoming transactions. So I have every single monthly, quarterly, and annual bill that I'm aware of listed in my upcoming transactions. This is an example. This isn't my own personal information, just one I've set up to show you. And if you look through here, you'll see I have like the gas company, the electric company, and estimated bills there. When I get the bill, I'll put in the exact amount for the next upcoming payment, and I also update that in my budget. Auto loan payments, paychecks, which we'll talk a little bit more in a few minutes, how I like to break these out. If you do inflow to be budgeted, then yours would look just a little bit different. And it would just show employer name and then inflow to be budgeted. I have credit card payments, cell phones, contributions to college savings plans, investment accounts, IRAs, etc. And then some of the less common things would be a Costco membership, my auto insurance dues, which I pay twice a year, and then like annual registration fees. So there's probably quite a few things that you can think of that you should be adding there. Every week when I do my budget, I look through these gray shaded transactions, which are the upcoming transactions, and I either subtract or add them from my current bank account balance, just to make sure that I have enough in my account where these items are coming out of to cover the next week. So if I know I won't get to it the following week, I do several weeks. But that's just another check to make sure that I don't get hit with any overdrafts and I have enough in each appropriate account. I love that I can log into YNAB and see exactly what purpose I've assigned to all of my money. So for example, if I look at my online savings account, I don't have to have separate accounts. I can have one account with a big chunk of money and then break it out in categories in YNAB. So this just makes it so much easier if you have different savings goals. And having different savings goals is really important. So if we look at this example, I've got my online savings account, which has $15,000 in it. I can look at my savings goals to the right of that in my budget, and I can see that that's made up of my emergency fund of $10,000. I've saved $2,500 for a vacation fund and $2,500 for a new kitchen fund. So that makes up that $15,000. And of course, the larger number of goals that you have, the more advantageous this even is to track it this way in YNAB, rather than setting up an account that's broken out, for each and every separate item. You may already know I'm a pretty big tax nerd if you've followed some of my other videos or my blog, but while I honestly enjoy preparing tax projections and researching tax topics, I really don't enjoy trying to find my tax information in a million different places. So I keep everything really organized in YNAB so I don't have to deal with that frustration. The number way I simplify gathering my tax information is to create separate categories, and sometimes I use tags as well in YNAB. Some of the things that I break out are my charitable deductions. I have a category here for deductible charitable contributions and non-deductible. So if you aren't aware, deductible ones would be to a 501c3 organization, such as a church or a charitable organization. And then non-deductible would be if you give to someone on the street or, an individual. And there's some additional guidelines regarding that. Another thing that I break out, property taxes. If you have an escrow, that would be included in your mortgage payment, and you wouldn't be able to break that out separately necessarily. But also, annual registration fees would be another one that I use on my tax return. I do break out the line items for my rental property, for my business as well, home improvements. I also break out the contributions to retirement IRAs and college funds so that I can easily pick those out at tax time. One of the unique things I do is I break out FICA, federal and state withholding taxes. So if we go back to the checking account, you can see here an example. Let's see, this paycheck right here. I have broken out the inflow to be budgeted would be the gross pay actually. The $3,500 would be the net pay that actually hits the checking account. And then I break out FICA taxes, Social Security, Medicare, federal and state withholding, retirement contributions, medical insurance, HSAs, life insurance, and then if you had anything else, you would break out every single deduction to make these numbers work. So I like to do it that way, first of all, so that I really have a good picture in YNAB of everything that I spend my money on, not just what's actually hitting my account, in net. I have a whole post about how I set up YNAB for taxes that I will link to in the notes for this video. But hopefully by now you've grasped the idea that you do need a budget, and that is both the budget and this software program. My financial life is much more simple and organized because I have these processes set up, and I have this great way to track everything.